Hello beautiful people. In today's video I want to share with you guys an update of what's been happening in the farm right from last night till this moment. So last night when I get back from work, the feeds were all out, the feeders were all empty. So I had to do a top up on all the feeds in the different section, and also the water was also out. Remember, I just added some fresh clean water for them last night. Okay, the water was remaining last night. Yes, the water was remaining last night, so it's just the feed that we are all out. So I had to top up feed for them. Then this morning, early this morning, knowing that I have so much work to do here in readjusting this setup and also making more space for the Abor Acre, because like you can see here, the Abor Acres are growing very well and this space is gradually tight for them. And some other thing I noticed is that the Noilers are crossing to this other section more. Like you can see down there, if you look very well, there's a black chick there, that's a Noiler. There's one there, and yesterday there was two, and today still there's two more again. So I noticed that the Noilers are crossing into these sections more often, of which I don't like that and I don't want that. So I just want them to all grow separately in their separate space. This Abor Acre, they are shooting up very well. I just opened up some part of this their space, and you can see the excitement. And if you look very well, they have covered the whole space, meaning they need more space for them to grow well, because when the chicks have a little bit more space, they can get to flex up their muzzle and get to expand, because when the space is too tight for them, there's every tendency they will not grow the way they should. So like you can see here, they're excited, but they're hitting each other while they are excited and jumping around, of which they need more space. And secondly, their litter is already messy, and when they get too crowded, the litter get messy quickly. So even this morning when I came out, despite that I topped up the feeders last night, I noticed that early this morning when I came in here, off camera, the feeds were all out. If you notice very well, I'm yet to bring in the big feeders into this space. Why I did not bring in the big feeder yet? Because I noticed that the space is still tight. So I just decided to just allow them till when I get to expand the setup. So like I said, the Noilers are crossing into the different sections of these beds, and I'm kind of running them differently because of they have different body temperature that they can adapt to at this moment. So what I will do, I will get to readjust this space and change the litters of the Abor Acre and the Ross 308. Like you can see, the Ross 308, their litter is messy. It's really messy. You can see everywhere is sticky. I can't even touch it. I'm just touching all. These are all stools, so I have to clean them up. And meanwhile, while I'm cleaning them up, I need to give them medications for coccidosis, because I don't want to leave chances for anything abnormal to happen. For this litter to be this messy, there's some little trace of coccidosis in their system. So I need to give them this coccidosis for about 3 or 4 days for it to get to clear out. Had I been have that luxury of time within my schedules, I would have done the organic treatment for them. So, but because of my tight schedule, what I will just do at this early stage, I will just give them the conventional coccidosis for them to build up a more stronger immune system. Maybe as time goes on, if I get to notice any trace of coccidosis, I'll then get to prepare the organic one. Because why I'm giving them the conventional coccidosis right now is that I'll be selling most of them as after brooding. So I need their immune system and their whole health status to be very strong to adapt to the change that will be happening in the change of environment when I'll be selling some of them as after brooding beds. So I need them to be very strong and healthy. So that's why I will not leave chances. I'll give them the conventional coccidosis. It's not like the organic one will not do well, but because of my tight schedule, so I'll not be able to follow up through by preparing the organic medication for them every day for the next 5 days. So I just have to make do of the already prepared ones, which are the conventional medications that are being sold in veterinary shops. So chill with me, guys, while I try to rearrange this whole setup to accommodate the broilers very well, and also make provision for the Noilers, not for them to be jumping around unnecessarily. Meanwhile, before I do the adjustment I intend to do, I noticed that their water is totally out. And remember I said I'm going to give them a coccidosis this morning. So first thing first, before I start moving them around, I'll need to give them medication for the coccidosis. So the kind of coccidosis I'll be giving these guys is this old coccidiostatin here, Amprocos. This is an old medication. It's a bit cheap. I don't know if it's the weakest, but it's cheap and it's affordable. This is Amprocos. It's an old medication. So I'll be giving them these antibiotics. When you're giving them medications, you don't start with a very strong medication with your bed. You start with something a bit more moderate, so that if in peradventure you find yourself in a situation whereby you have a serious case, you can then use a stronger antibiotics or a stronger medication. So I'm not saying that this is a very weak coccidiostatin, but it's something relatively on the medium side, because I've used it in the past. It did well. So I'll be using this as a means of preventing and to correct any little incidents of coccidiosis in the farm. So I prepared the medications for about 12 liters of water. So from these 12 liters of water, that's what this whole bed is going to take from, so till when it gets exhausted. So meanwhile, I am trying to regulate the quantity of water I use this period, because I'm using medication, so that the medications don't get to run into waste. Because if you put excess of them, there's every tendency that it will waste out, and if you put too little, the birds will get to starve whenever the medications run out. So you need to be very cautious and follow through, and just monitor their consumption and give them what they need per time. So for this period, I noticed that 12 liters of water should carry them till evening hours, when I'll be back, for me to top it up, because I don't want the medications to stay too long. Remember, if the medications stay up to 24 hours, you need to just empty the whole thing and change it, afresh for them. So I don't want to waste this medication, so I'll just try to regulate the quantity I use. That's what I'm using. Nipple drinkers that can run through for a longer period of time doesn't mean that I will get to waste the medication, so that my whole overhead expenses will not be too much. So you can see here, the Noilers are rushing the water, because it seems like the water finished quite a bit early, because I stepped out trying to get wood shavings for these guys, because I was out of wood shavings entirely, and I didn't want to use sawdust, because especially the Ross, they are still much young to be using sawdust. Because while even at the veterinary shop I was trying to get the coccidiostatin, I met a family that came in and they were complaining of how they've been treating their birds for coccidiosis. So a brief insight on how to treat coccidiosis when you are having a consistent issues or cases of coccidiosis in your farm. You need to make sure that the overall hygiene of your farm is very good. You change the litters regularly, and also make sure that their feeders are very safe and secure, that they don't get to stool regularly on it, and also their water source, they have good water supply, and you try to raise the water and the drinkers up a little bit so they don't get messy. Then in the case whereby the coccidiosis is still pushing in your farm, you still have more incidents of the coccidiosis. So the next thing you have to do when you're administering the coccidiostatin, you need to also add some antibiotics, like those first brooding antibiotics that you give to your birds. You add it up to the coccidiostatin to make it more stronger, because aside from the coccidiosis, there could be some element of typhoid in your system already accompanying with the coccidiosis, so which it might make it a bit more difficult for just only the coccidiostatin to just try to eliminate. So also contact your veterinary doctor whenever you notice any symptom, anything that seems to persevere in your farm. Contact your veterinary doctor for them to give you some good recommended medications that will act more stronger in your farm. And the next thing again was also complaining of having issues of cough in their beds. If you notice very well, we that in Nigeria, especially in the south part, the weather is quite calm, it's not harsh for them to be having high cases of respiratory diseases. When farmers do experience the high level of CROD in their farms during the dry season, when the weather is a bit dry, so it also affects the birds too. So I was wondering, why would this thing be persisting in your farm in this time of the season? So I asked what kind of feeder she uses. She said she was using the tray. She said she was using the tray. That's something like this. So using this tray is just for the birds when they are about 1 day and 2 days old. So don't use this kind of tray for your birds after the first 2 days, because they get to mess it up. And especially if you're using sawdust will just accompany the feeds from the feeds of the birds into this feeder, which by the time the sawdust mixes up with their feed, the birds get to consume them all together. You start having cases of cough in your farm, which will now cause high level of CROD in your farm, which will make you to spend more money. So I always recommend get good feeders, get good drinkers where you can get to feed your birds properly. They get having their litters mixed up inside of it, and also having a good water source supply where the litters don't get to mess the whole thing up easily for you, so that the birds can get access to fresh drinking water and fresh feed. So using good feeders is very important. Like even this feeder, these birds are bigger than using this feeder right now, because if you notice very well, the feeders get messy sometimes. So whenever I step into the pen, I make sure I try to sieve out all these feeds so that I don't have high cases of coccidosis in my farm. The overall hygiene of your birds is very important. I have a video that I did about common diseases that are very common in broiler poultry farm. So you check out that video so that you can get to learn and know some certain things that you get to do to prevent most of this illness persevering in your farm. So meanwhile, I really need to position these Noilers in a good comfortable space where they will not get to be jumping out of their space, because I notice that they are flying a lot, you see, of which I have some whole space in my pen that if I allow them to stay in that position, there's every tendency that will just all get they will just fly away. So I'll get them settled in a very covered space where they can't just be jumping around easily. So chill with me while I try to do these readjustments. So guys, I've been able to rearrange this whole setup. It was not easy rearranging the farm when birds are inside. Coupled with the fact that I had to be very careful not to cause any accidents inside while they were inside, and also not to make them to go beyond the certain limit we are supposed to. So here are the Noilers, and over here are the Abor Acres. I had intentions of changing this wood shaving, but while I was about doing that, I checked them out and I still felt that they were still dry. Check this out. So there's no mold, so they are still dry. So what I did, I just used the shovel to turn them upside down. So while I was using the shovel, I had to be very careful using the shovel to do that. So you can see we have enough space that can carry the Abor Acre. This space is still a bit tight, but I'm not really concerned about the tight space because I'll just be using 2 big feeders in here, or maybe just one. Then later I'll reintroduce the second one. So over here at the Ross straight, their space is really spacious for them. I really have hope that this guy will shoot more than the way they are in the next few days, because here at Ross straight, they tend to grow a little bit faster. But this Abor Acre, they are not doing bad either. They are still coming up nice. If you look very well, you see a very close difference between the both of them. You see, these are the Ross straight. I'm using a new wood shavings for them. So you can see how new this wood shaving is. It's very new. I just got them this morning from the timber. So these wood shavings are very new. I'm still perceiving the wood odor. I pray it doesn't affect the birds, because normally I usually keep the wood shavings for some days, spray them in the pen before bringing in the birds. Sometimes I won't just get some from them and just change when the birds are a little bit bigger, not as this tender age. So I hope the odor of this wood shaving will not disturb them, because I don't have in mind of covering this. So that's why I'm not really scared about the odor of the wood shaving disturbing them. As you can see very well, these guys over here are 12 days old. That's with this guy, and they're being able to adapt to the broad daylight. Today is quite a sunny day, so the birds are doing very well. So maybe what I'll do in the evening, when it is a bit cold, I'll just use some zinc to cover some area so that they can go to the areas where there is zinc covering, so as to reduce some certain level of cold within them. So these birds are doing very well. My major concern was about the nuisance that this guy usually displays. So that's why I had to separate them in this space where they can't jump out. So what I will do after now, is to cover this entire space with the zinc and just allow a small space where they will get light and air from. Because normally these guys are supposed to still stay in brooding for a little bit longer, and I wouldn't want to take chances from the way they fly and jump around. So if you are running Noiler beds, you need to be very careful about your housing space. Make sure that there is no leaking space where they can jump out through, because they are very, very active. As you can see, they like jumping. See, this guy has already flied. This is a 2-coach wall, 2-block coach, but they have been able to jump on it. Even at the 3rd layer, they still fly onto it. These are birds that are less than 2 weeks old, but they can fly that high. So when you are running the Noiler birds, you need to be very careful about the security setup in your pen to make sure that there's no hole openings where they can jump out. So that's why these guys, what I'll be doing after now, I'll using to cover this space, because I still have some outlets where they can jump out through from my pen. My pen is not totally secured. You can see up here there are holes up there that they can fly out through. So in order for that not to happen, I'll just make sure that I cover this place. Although the plans I have for these birds is to sell them off as after brooding birds. So in the next 2 weeks, they should be out of this farm entirely. I like them, but I don't have the space to keep them longer. These are dual purpose birds in the sense that you can keep them for meat, and you can also keep them for egg laying. But although the quantity of eggs they can give you compared to the conventional layers is not the same. So, but they are better laying birds than broilers. You know, they can serve you for meat and also lay eggs for you. So I have a client that's already booking for these ones, about 5 of them. She wants to keep them for them to lay eggs for her. So I'm just running them for the sake of this series, and also to sell them off as after brooding birds. So in 4 weeks time, they should be out. In fact, they are almost 2 weeks already. So in the next 2 weeks, they should be out of this farm. So I just want them to get some little size and some little immunity, then they will all be out. But this Abor Acre, the plans I have is to sell some of them as after brooding birds, and then still keep these ones for my main market sales, where I'll be selling them off as big birds when they get up to 2+ kg. So guys, the next thing I will be doing here is to provide feed for them. I'm about cleaning the big feeders, so I'll introduce the big feeders to them. So I just want to give you guys an update of how far I've been able to rearrange this space. This space here and this is almost the same. It's just a slight difference. But why I'm still letting them fly this way is that most of these guys, I'll start selling them off next weekend. So that's why I still allow the space not to be too big for them, because if it gets to be too big, when I'm taking them off, the space will not be too big for the remaining ones that will be left. So I just left this space this way, so that while they are growing up, while I'm selling some, the other ones that are coming up will be occupying the space. So these guys, this space should be enough for them till in the next 2 weeks. Then afterwards, I get to spread them in other parts of the pen to make sure that the place can accommodate them all, especially when these Noiler are out. So moving these birds was quite a risky thing. One, in the sense that accident could happen in the farm while I'm trying to rearrange with the birds inside of it. And secondly, there are different breeds of chickens in here, so they could carry different trays. But so far so good that I've been taking care of them for the past 12 days. I noticed that they are all very healthy and sound. In fact, for the past 2-3 days, I've not had any case of any mortality. Even the casualty that I have from the Ross 308 is still there. So that's why it's very important for one to have a sick bay, because I immediately separated that one that was acting funny some days ago. So far so good. That one is still alive. It's not yet a full mortality, but separating it is very important. So in your farm, you need to make sure that you have a space set aside for keeping birds that are sick, because once anyone develop any trait that is not normal, you need to separate it from the rest. Had even that bird was still with them here, you would have spread the disease to other ones, and in the process of it being here, the rest will be marching on it, stepping on it, and pecking on it. In that process, they will contact the diseases from that one that was down, and also cause that one, the mortality, to be very fast than the way it is. So it has been in the sick bay for about 3 days now, and it's still there. So I'm still trying to figure out a way to sort that out. You know, these are young chicks that are still in brooding stage, so whenever they are down with any ailment, it's quite a bit difficult to restore them. But I still pray I'll come up with a solution for that. When I do come up with a solution, I'll definitely update you guys. So what we have here in the Ross 308 section is 49 birds, and over here we have 99, because we have 2 mortalities from here. And over here in the Noiler sections, we have 48 birds. We have 2 mortalities from the Noiler and 2 mortalities from the Abor Acre too as well. So far so good. These birds are doing very well. So if you're new to this channel, I wouldn't want this video to be too lengthy. So if you're new to this channel, I would just encourage you to just smash the subscription button, so that you get updates of what is happening in this farm and the other lectures and any subsequent video I get to post. So you watching this far, I believe you like what you're saying, so please smash the like button to also help grow this channel. So thanks for watching this far, guys. I really appreciate your support in following up this series. So thanks for watching this far, and I'll see you guys tomorrow when I drop the next update of what's happening in the Ete farms. So bye for now.